RJ, you have played you've played beer league for a long time now.
Oh yeah.
You've played hockey. When was the last time at at the kind of more recreational level you had a game where the first four shots on goal all went in? Because that feels like the time and place for an event like that to
Oh,
happen.
for sure.
Not on like the world stage at the World Junior Championship, but of course that is what we got yesterday in a fantastic game between Canada and Finland at the World Juniors, where for each team, their first two shots on goal win in the net. First four shots of the game in there. Five and a half minutes basically. We have a 2-2 game, and the scoring didn't even stop there in the first period. Like they just kept scoring. Insane game. But yes, my question to you, RJ, is it feels like something that should be happening at your level, not this level.
Hey, we all feel like at my level, we all feel like we're playing on the world stage, like we're the best in the world. You got to get in that mindset to really succeed in beer league hockey. Although, yeah, I can't remember the last time. I think the closest it came, and it may have gotten to where the first four shots on goal were in. There was one game I played where our opponent, their goalie, did not show up, where he showed up way late, and so they had to start with an empty net and six skaters. So
That
every
that
shot
would
of
do
ours
it.
would have gone in, and our goalie didn't show up, so we had to put a skater in net, somebody who had never played goalie before. He gave an admirable effort, but
In
I
goalie
I
gear?
don't know if in goalie gear,
Okay.
yes. He had goalie gear, but had never really played goalie before. Actually, I think it was his daughter's goalie gear, so it was really small on him. And I don't think he'd ever played goalie before, at least not in years. I don't I don't know if he stopped one of the first two shots. The first one went in. I remember that. I don't know if he saved the second one. So
Okay.
maybe it got there, but I'm not sure.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's a difficult spot to be thrown into. Pads that you've probably never worn before and are not yours. And then you also have, pucks coming at you for the first time. I think you get a pass from that. And then just yeah, empty net at the other end. I guess in that sense, no matter how rough you are for your first outing as a goaltender, if they don't have one at the other end, you're still the best goalie on the ice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the best way you want to come into the net, where there's zero expectations whatsoever. That's the only way I will play goalie, is if they have no replacement and the alternative is an empty net.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds solid. But yes, this Canada Finland game was so much fun to watch yesterday. Great way to kind of end the group stage for the World Juniors there. And yeah, it was an incredible game. 3-3 at the end of one. Really 3-3 13 minutes into the game. We have that Canada of course takes it 7-4 by the end, thanks to some late goals, an empty netter and stuff. But great setup for hopefully what we see once we get into the elimination games here shortly
Did it get you
tomorrow.
fired up? Because you are going to Minnesota. You're going to go see some of the World Juniors games at the end. Did that get you excited?
It definitely got me excited. I am very, very excited for this. I mean, it wasn't even just that one. It was also Sweden upsetting USA 6-3, and the way that that game kind of went, which the 6-3 final is there, but I mean, it felt like most of that game was played at 5-1 in favor of Sweden. Like they just jumped all over Team USA. Team USA could not figure things out. But I'm super, super excited to be there for the semifinals and then of course the medal games. Looking at the matchups though, I'm like trying to think who am I gonna get in these semifinal games. I mean, I guess the big matchup to watch tomorrow is gonna be USA Finland. Like that to me is like the game, and that's gonna be an interesting one to see who walks out of that.
That Yeah, that's huge. And I'm sad that one of those teams is going to have to go home after the quarterfinals. They
Yeah.
both seem too good to be leaving that early.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, Sweden, Latvia shows up. We know this. They beat Canada in the group stage last year. They pushed Canada to overtime this year. Sweden probably winning that one. Czechia, who of course is having a great tournament as well, probably going to beat Switzerland. And then Canada, it feels like for the first time in a while, Canada is like officially back, and they are the favorite and they are the juggernaut. And I'm assuming they're going to take care of things against Slovakia tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they probably will. Although I don't know, I still sense a little bit of weakness there with Canada. Maybe with this path they could get to the gold medal game and it's fine, but again, the fact that Latvia always keeps playing them close, I can't quite get over that. I feel like they're still beatable.
There were weird things, especially at the beginning of this tournament. The whole them not coming out for the first 5 minutes of warm-ups, Porter Martone's antics, like it felt like there was a certain swagger they came into the tournament with. it was not going well, and then they've, kind of had to regroup a little bit and come out with a slightly different look, and just kind of play to their strengths. Gavin McKenna's getting going now. Like I think they're starting to figure things out there roster wise. But yeah, that USA Finland game I'm going to be paying very close attention to tomorrow. We should get in time to be in Minnesota. We won't go to the game, but at least to be able to hopefully watch it somewhere, and that'll be a lot of fun to kind of set up the Minnesota trip there, and the
Yeah.
snow, of course.
I was gonna say, is your flight okay? No delays, cancellations, anything like that? Are you going to actually get there?
It seems as though we should. It seems like we're gonna have more rain here on the Seattle side of things than snow there on the Minnesota side of things, and the weather's gonna get up to a nice balmy like 30 degrees while I'm there. So they're gonna take care of the California boy that
Okay,
still
that's
lives
not
with
so much
inside
worse
me.
than it is here.
No, it's not. I'm okay. I think I'm gonna be okay, after all, with all of this. RJ, this is our first episode of the Red Glare podcast being out and publicly available for everybody. This was a podcast that you and I here at Emerald City Hockey, a independent media organization that has covered the Seattle Kraken since before they were called the Kraken. We started this as a Patreon podcast to explore league-wide topics, talk about hockey at large beyond just what is going on in the Seattle area. And it's been very successful on Patreon. We've gotten tons and tons of great feedback for it. And this year we decided to take it public and kind of share it with the rest of the world, rest of the community, the hockey world. And I'm really, really excited to be kicking this off on literally the first of the year.
Yeah, it feels great. New beginnings, right? With New Year's Eve last night, and we're starting something new here. I guess it's a continuation of this podcast. And I want to let everybody know who is familiar with the podcast, the patrons who are probably still tuning in. Nothing's going to change in terms of the actual content. We are still going to be covering stories from around the NHL and the hockey world. It's still going to have more of a casual, kind of conversational feel to it. So if you're listening to this for the first time, but you know us from the deep dive, it'll have a little bit more of a casual feel, kind of like those conversations we would have on the couch growing up, just talking about the NHL. And so that's what we've been doing. It's what we're going to continue to do. I think the biggest difference is we're on video now. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see us. We are here. And now I have been told many times I have the face for radio. So
Yes.
I think the audio only suited me pretty well in the past, but I guess I'll be okay.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. I've got enough video out there from the Kraken and Torrent and all that kind of stuff, so we'll probably be fine. Now, from one international tournament to another, RJ, because of course the Olympic rosters, Olympics that will be featuring NHL players for the first time in forever. It feels like forever anyway. Uh, we are getting rosters. The rosters are locked in. They had to be submitted by yesterday, so all of the rosters are set. However, we don't know all the rosters yet, because I don't know. Team USA just really did not want to give us a roster in time to be able to talk about it on this podcast. I'm taking it personally. I don't know about you.
No, you should. I mean, this is, I think, aimed directly at us. And especially, look, I get them not wanting to release it for whatever reason, but how have the insiders not leaked this yet? I know they've leaked some players kind of on the inside or outside. How has the whole roster not been leaked yet? Like Frank Saravalli, I'm looking at you. You leaked the entire expansion draft, and this is where I think it's pointed at us. You leaked
Yes.
the entire Seattle expansion draft beforehand. That you could do. Can't get the Olympic roster for Team USA. What's going on?
Yeah. It is kind of weird that we're not getting more roster coverage from everybody. I mean, and I get it, to an extent, right? Canada announced their roster. That is a whole new cycle within the hockey world in and of itself, especially because this is the first time the NHL is returning to the Olympics, which is still, I guess, also a knock on wood type thing. Like we're still like operating under the assumption they will be there, even though I don't know, like there's still outs in place should the facilities not be finished and or meet the standards that the NHL and the NHLPA want for those facilities. So I guess all of this still needs to be taken with a small grain of salt. But I think some of it was just, look, Canada roster announcement is going to take up a lot of space. It's going to suck all the oxygen out of the room, and that's why they kind of made this call. They want it to be their own event, and within the hockey world, there was going to be so much attention to the Canadian roster that US I think just wanted to separate themselves a little bit from that. And I think, they should. And I like the idea of going second too, because, and we'll talk about it as we break down this Canadian roster. The USA roster might be better.
It might be. Well, we'll see if they can get out of their own way. I think that's going to be the big headline.
Yes.
It has the potential to be better, but I don't know if it will be.
Yes. Well, let's talk about it from the Canadian perspective and what the Canadian roster here looks like. RJ, I don't know if we need to run down the whole roster and
Yeah, I
everybody
think
that was
people, if you're
selected.
listening to this, you can go look up what the roster is. You can have it out in front of you if you want.
Yeah, but just general thoughts. In general, RJ, before we kind of go positional group by position group.
Yeah, well, looking at the roster as a whole, and with the whole news cycle and the announcement and everything, I haven't actually heard a ton of talk about the roster. I mean, of course, in hockey circles, everyone's discussing it because it's big news, but there hasn't been as much debate or conversation. I've actually heard more around the USA roster that hasn't been announced yet, and maybe some of the potential snubs than I have around Canada. And I think that's because I hate to say it, but I think Canada actually generally did a pretty good job of selecting the team. There aren't a whole lot of guys there, and you think, oh, how would they not include him? Or, why is this guy on the roster? There's not a lot of that. And I think the ones that we do see are ones that were just kind of known for so long that they're not really being talked about a ton. Like, say, Jordan Binnington. Everyone kind of knew they were going in that direction. They know what the controversy is there,
Mhm.
and they just know the team is comfortable with it. Someone like Tom Wilson, they've already, they've already basically decided that. And so overall, looking at this roster, I think they actually did a pretty good job
Yeah, that
picking players.
Yeah, that and it's in a lot of ways the same roster that we saw for the Four
Four
Nations tournament
nations.
just last year, right? And so that having that international tournament for these four nations, Canada, US, Sweden, and Finland, takes a lot of some of the surprise element out of this because like shocking, it's almost exactly the same as that roster last year.
Yeah, and I think we really shouldn't be surprised. Just a few changes of guys who kind of played their way onto it, like a Macklin Celebrini, and
Right.
I mean, who's surprised by that at this point?
Well, exactly. I feel like they were building that up as though that was going to be the surprise of like, will Celebrini make it? The dude has 39 assists through 39 games, right? 60 points in 39 games. He's gonna make the team, right? He already also had the experience of playing with like Crosby at the World Cup, not World Cup, but the World Championship. So like there was already some stuff there. It was not a surprise at all. And then Bedard gets hurt on top of it. Like for the one young guy spot, like I don't know. It all kind of came together for me. I did think there's a couple general notes I have. One, I did like this. Somebody did the math. If you were to put this team in the National Hockey League, RJ, it would have a cap hit of $216,600,000.
Just a little over the cap. I think you'd have to find a bit of LTIR or something there to make that work.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. That's probably pretty solid to walk into a tournament like this, though. To
Yeah.
make it, NHL players returning to the Olympics, and you get to walk in there with a team that is more than double the cap hit of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah. I mean, you got celebrating on ELC too. I mean, not a whole lot else, to
Yeah,
save
I
you
was gonna
money,
say
but
that's.
I do wonder what the US roster is going to come out to be.
I
I imagine
am
it'll be less.
I think it's gonna probably be less. But yeah, just because what you got three $12 million players on this Canadian roster in 12 million plus players. You got McDavid at 12 and a half, McKinnon at 12.6, and then Mitch Marner at 12. Like I don't know that the American roster is gonna have that.
No, I don't think so. They'll be maybe a little more expensive in net, but otherwise, yeah, this team's got that beat.
Well, yeah, you know what though? They're probably going to get a little bit more out of that money spent in net. Not that they're actually spending any of this money. Let's talk about the goaltending situation here for Canada because so often that is the thing to talk about with Team Canada. And certainly looking at this roster and what they're going to walk into the Olympics with, this does feel like the area that they could. That could be their Achilles heel. That could potentially be a problem for them in this tournament. So you got Logan Thompson, Jordan Binnington, and Darcy Kemper as the three goalies selected to this roster, RJ. It's not like the most inspiring group.
No, not really. And I mean, I think we talked earlier in the season about asking the question, does the state of California have better goaltending than the country of Canada? At this point, I think you can make a pretty good case that it does. I guess, Dylan, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're looking at Canada, how worried are you about this goalie trio?
Okay, if you ask apparently Doug Armstrong, he's not that worried, which of course, what is he supposed to say? Like he should be
Well,
saying
yeah,
that.
yeah. What he's gonna say?
Um,
Yeah, no, our goalies really suck. Yeah, let's hope we can outscore these problems.
Yes. But like he did talk yesterday, and I do have like Frank Saravalli did put out a kind of highlights from Doug Armstrong talking about the roster and why they made some of the decisions they made. And when it came to Jordan Binnington, the quote from Doug Armstrong, it was never a question mark for them around this based on his track record. And look, the dude took you to the promised land last year in the Four Nations. And look, we know this about Jordan Binnington. He gets it done when things matter. As much as, you hate to see it.
Yeah, it defies all logic. What's amazing to me is that this team, and actually I don't worry about this goaltending trio as much as, maybe some do, because you have a little bit of everything. You have Logan Thompson, who I think should get the first crack at the starting job. NHL leader in goals saved above expected per Evolving Hockey. I'm looking at it, almost 30 goals saved above expected this season. Fantastic. Best goalie statistically in the NHL this year. So I have no reason to worry about him. On the flip side, you have Jordan Binnington, who has been the worst goalie statistically in the NHL this season. It's not particularly close, but he's got the clutch gene.
Mhm.
And then you have Darcy Kemper, who has pretty good numbers, big goalie, solid in net. You kind of have one of everything. What are the odds that all three of those things fail? If you had a bunch of guys who were doing amazing this season, but maybe didn't have the tournament track record or their track record in big games or whatever, maybe you worry. If you had a bunch of guys who were all bad this season, but you're relying on the clutch gene, maybe you worry. I, how can all three of these different types of goalies fail?
I mean, they could. There's like some precedent for that, but no, I'm largely with you. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's going to, it looks bad now because it's not the biggest names per se in the NHL, right? Even Logan Thompson, incredible numbers, all the stuff he's doing with the Capitals this season, just building off of that foundation he built in his first year there last year just doesn't really get talked about at all in like
Yeah.
broader NHL context. Like he's never a guy that anybody focuses on. But I think this feels like the right time for him. It feels like he's in the right like age window for this tournament to kind of be the thing that helps propel him into that conversation of just being one of the best goaltenders on the planet. And so I think that he has that as his potential for this tournament. And then yeah, Jordan Binnington has the track record. Darcy Kemper, savvy vet, he's gonna be able to go in there and block shots. It's one of those where it's only gonna be if we're being honest, right? Only a handful of countries are going to have better goaltending than Canada is going to have. It's I think largely because the rest of this Canadian roster is just so filled with superstars and guys whose names you hear night in, night out in the National Hockey League that it feels like the goaltending is like this huge drop off from the rest of the roster. And it is, but it's not like on its own. You take these three goalies and you compare them to every other country in this tournament. How many have a better three-man rotation than Canada? Maybe three or four teams. Like it's not a ton, and then
If
they get
that, yeah.
yeah, and then they get to play behind this incredible blue line and forward group and all of that stuff, and it's just I don't think it's going to be a huge problem for them.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be all right, especially with that team in front of them. If they play the right way in front of their goalies, someone will be okay.
Yes, you have until the the medal games essentially to figure it out probably given the rest of this roster. We'll go net out here, so let's talk about this blue line. This is I think actually where a lot of the conversation should be, is kind of talking about this blue line and what it's going to look like pairings wise and also stylistically, because boy, it feels like you could go two very different directions with the guys that you've brought on this blue line, RJ. You have the puck movers, you have the guys that can be like, the ones who go out there and get it done that way. But then you also have some, legit, take care of things in your own zone, try to slow the game down, play very much a controlled style, defensive style of game. It's going to be interesting to see which direction they decide to kind of go with these and how the minutes shake out on this cuz like, there's only so much if you want to slow a game down against a high flying opponent. There's only so much you're going to do that while also presumably giving Kale McCarr like 25 minutes a night.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flexibility too, right? Of all your 8 defensemen that you have, all of them are capable of playing 30 minutes in a game. They do that in the NHL fairly regularly, so you can divvy up the minutes almost however you want. And if you do have a weak pairing, you can sub other guys in for it for the next game. Like you can really do a lot of different things with this. Now, I don't think anyone's surprised by this necessarily, just because it feels like he has talked his way onto this team because he was talking about it for so long. But Drew Doughty does end up making this
Mhm.
roster, and I feel like it's largely a product of him just really, really wanting to be there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, he should have been a guy who was the defender for Canada for many past Olympics, and then that
Yeah.
just wasn't allowed to happen, right? And so I think there is an element of kind of giving him his due for that uh, here with this team. We watch him play. We cover the Kraken. He's in the division. Like we see him play. Has age, factored into his game here recently? These last like 2 years, especially. Yeah, it has. But you know what? Like, if you need somebody to go out there in this Olympic tournament, and like I said, eat like a really hard and difficult 13, 14 minutes a game, he's still capable of doing that.
I guess so. Maybe from watching him recently with LA when they came to Seattle or when they were playing the Kraken, it felt like he was trying to do way too much.
Well, he's being
And
asked to
maybe
do way
that
too much on that team.
well, yeah. So maybe that's just a result of that. I trust that he'll be able to kind of step back and take a smaller role, which I'm sure he'll need to. He's a veteran. He's done this before, but it just that's the name that stands out to me on this blue line.
Yeah, I guess. It's one where like looking at it, I see him and it's like, okay, he's going to be a PKer, right? He's going to be the guy that's kind of out there if they need to go toe to toe physically at the end of a game, right? They're defending a 1 goal lead against a big physical team. The Finns are doing their forechecking cycle, and you just need somebody who can kind of hang and create a board battle and kill 15, 20 seconds, right? Drew Doughty's there and he can do that. And the rest of the game, you're not really going to ask too much about it, from him because you don't need to. Like, there's all these other guys that are better options that are going to be able to give you that. Like, I do think there is something to Drew Doughty being able to walk into a tournament at the age of 36, know that he's only going to play a quarter of the game, and that he only has to focus and really zero in on being defensive and physical for that 15 minutes or whatever he's going to get.
Yeah, and like I see the vision. Like I see what they're going for here. I don't know. I wonder if it does take minutes or opportunity away from somebody who can be a little more dynamic. I
Like
don't know.
who? Who should be getting the minutes?
I mean, like for me, it'd be like Doughty and Sanheim should be the two that are probably sitting of the 8 because you're going to have 6. So I mean, really, just those guys. I don't know that even having him in the lineup over, say, I mean, really any of these guys, because
I
the
mean, it's
thing
the
is,
ones on the
it's like,
right side, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. It's the
yes.
ones on the right side. So,
So it's Makar, Pareko, Doughty, Sanheim, kind
yeah,
of. Like you could flex
man,
Theodore over there if you wanted to. He can play on the right side.
yeah. But I mean, the more I look at this too, and I know they want like their shutdown guys. I feel like, man, I feel like Brandon Montour actually had a real shot just given how he's playing
I,
this
d-
year.
I do genuinely think if Montour was healthy, he'd be on this team. Yes, looking at this, he
Yeah.
would he would have beaten out Travis Sanheim. I think
But I know they love Sandheim. Like
they
he's
do.
been on the radar for a long time. So I just this management group has the people that they like, and I think they're just not going to deviate from that.
Yeah. Would you say that one of those is Colton Parenko?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that
What I
that was the name that jumped out to me, right? Like, because I knew Drew Doughty was going to be on this team just because, like, it just felt like a foregone conclusion that they're taking Drew Doughty, right?
Yeah.
That was the name that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess in the sense, it didn't surprise me in the sense that, like, just like Dowdy, I figured, okay, they're going that direction. I mean, you look who's picking the team, and okay, it's probably Parayko's probably going to be on it. But that's another name that stands out. Like, I think if there's one thing that holds Canada back outside of goaltending, because goaltending is iffy, is potentially iffy, as we talked about, it's just the bottom end of this blue line. Like I've said many times, I think forwards are a strong link group and defensemen are a weak link group. You're only as good as your weakest defenseman,
Yeah.
and I think Canada could actually have, when they're playing some of the better teams in this tournament, a relatively weak third D pair if things don't go right for them.
No, I agree. And again, if Pareko and Doughty are both going to be in, one of them has is probably on the second pairing. Right? Like they're both on
That's
the
right.
right side. Like you're probably it's not like that's going to be the third pairing and it's just like okay, it's going to be a rough 13 14 minutes a night. Like no, you one of these guys is getting like 20 minutes.
Yeah. So that's, I guess that's my main concern for Team Canada. And I know we have to be super nitpicky because look, like this team is stacked.
Yes.
Don't want to sound like we don't think this team is stacked. It absolutely is. They're going to have very few problems. There's only maybe one or two teams they would ever have a problem beating, I think. But yeah, they're it when it comes down to the potentially the gold medal game or something, that could be where it's won or lost.
Right. When there's another country out there that sounds like is not going to be bringing Adam Fox because their blue line is so stacked, it does make some of these calls a little more interesting.
Yeah. So overall, I think they did a good job. Like
Yes.
we're having to be nitpicky. I think with USA, it'll be obvious where the mistakes were.
Right. And with Pareko, I've been a fan of his for a really long time. It's just and some of this could just be because St. Louis is just awful right now and they are struggling mightily and everything there. But it just feels like another one where like with Doughty where it's like this should have been a guy who was a big part of Olympic teams in the past, but maybe not so much in 2026.
Yeah, and I'm with you completely. Like I have a lot of respect for Parayko's game, a lot of respect for Doughty's game. It's not 2019 anymore.
Right. That's
That's
it's
what it
just the
comes down to.
reality. Like they would have been great last Olympics. 4 years ago, incredible players. And then yeah, the rest of things, like I am excited to see if you just like unleash back-to-back D pairs of like Kale McCarr, Shea Theodore, and just like go move the puck aggressively, skate it end to end, like go do your thing, guys. What that could look like with this forward group because I also as we're sitting here and talking about this and maybe having questions about some of the defenders, RJ, I look at this forward group and I go, you know what? There's a couple lines on here that I think, almost Kale McCarr practically becomes another forward and then, somebody else sits back and and practically becomes a defenseman from the front. What an incredibly stacked lineup. Obviously, down the middle is going to be where, so much of this tournament's going to be won or lost for everybody. But just the fact that we're probably not going to see Nathan McKinnon at center, probably, just because then there wouldn't be enough minutes to go around for guys like Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. That's a healthy spot to be in.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I can't wait to see Sidney Crosby as like the ultimate two-way center, maybe a little bit further down the lineup. Imagine Sidney Crosby being able to feast on third line matchups potentially
Well,
with this
that's
team.
that's what I'm genuinely wondering about is if we see the Crosby McKinnon pairing, right, with McKinnon on the wing, or if at some point in the tournament they just go, look, Nathan McKinnon is arguably the best player in the world right now. It's certainly between him or McDavid, the way they're both playing in the NHL. Let's just have them both center lines, and then Sidney Crosby takes over as 3C. And yeah, plays a little bit more two-way, takes advantage of those third line matchups. I don't think like that would be a bad look. Like you obviously you have center depth, you still have Nick Suzuki on this roster, Sorelli, Bo Horvat, but I I would explore that option if possible if I'm Team Canada. Certainly during the group stage, I'm messing around with that and seeing what it looks like because that could be a real difference making call if you find yourself in say like a gold medal game against the US. The ability to have Sidney Crosby leading a third line and with, like Sam Reinhart and Brad Marchand on his wing. I feel like you're going to be winning the depth battle there.
Oh, for sure. I don't think there's another country that's forward depth can compete with Canada's. I don't think it's particularly close. Like if USA is a better team, that's not really where they have their advantage. And I think their group too for Canada, because they're in a group with Czechia, Switzerland, and France. That's the perfect group to try things out
Yeah.
against too, because you have the Czechs and the Swiss, who I think can present a little bit of a challenge for you. Like they're
Hmm.
not going to be easy, but they shouldn't be able to really mess you up too bad. And then France, you could just do whatever you want, and you'll score 10 to 15 goals, and you'll be fine if you want to, or you can try and just you make sure you get the shutout or something. But it's a nice group to be in. It feels like.
No, it does. I think they're gonna, yeah, be fine, and it would not surprise me if we saw kind of different lineups and stuff for that. Who's gonna be your line? Like, what's your dream line to watch for this team? I was gonna say
Oh, that
player, but I know it's gonna be Celebrini, and I think everybody's gonna be looking at Celebrini. But what would be like the dream line setup?
yeah, dream line setup. I mean, because for me, I would love to see that that third. I want to see the shutdown third line. I know it's not fun, but say like Crosby with Marchand and even like a Mark
Mark
Stone
Stone,
potentially.
yeah.
That's the line I want to see, and just put them against the other team's best players and let them go to work. On the flip side, I would love to see McDavid. Okay, you're gonna call me super biased here. Like McDavid, McKinnon, Celebrini,
Yeah.
just the three of them working together, all the speed in the world, and then Celebrini's hockey sense. And all Celebrini has to do is just go to the right areas, go to the net, finish, let those guys set you up. I think that'd be super fun, but I admit my bias is showing a little bit here.
I was gonna say you're right. Of that trio, the guy to mention with hockey sense is Macklin Celebrini. You know who could
All right,
really
all
help make
right.
this line work? Macklin Celebrini, because his hockey sense is really good. He's playing
Mm-hmm.
with
He'll
Connor
be the key to
McDavid
it
and
all.
Nathan
Yeah.
McKinnon. Yeah. I see.
How about you?
I almost wonder if that line would be too much of a good thing. Because I thought about that too. Like that line would have so much speed, nobody could really handle it. But I also think it would have too much speed to a point, right? Because like, yeah, attacking off the rush, what an incredible group. What do they do if they're like in the offensive zone? Like, what does a cycle look
They
like between
probably
Nathan
will be.
McKinnon?
That's
Right.
the
Well, that's the
issue.
thing is like, what does a cycle look like with Macklin Celebrini, Connor McDavid, and Nathan McKinnon? All guys who are natural centers and play center. And then you've got two of them out of position essentially, and also all guys that are used to being like the distributor. I mean, maybe they just pass the puck for their entire shift and they kill like 90 seconds at a time and the other team is just hopeless and unable to do anything, but
But you
I
don't
don't
want
know.
that line killing time
Right,
necessarily. That's not
exactly.
really the
It's a
objective.
lot of resources you're devoting to just nothing happening.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you skate around the outside of the offensive zone so fast that it creates like a whirlpool effect, and the defenders start falling down, and then you can eventually move to the middle.
Yeah, you could in fact try something like that. I do think there's something to just having like Celebrini and McKinnon just get themselves open at the same time for one-timers, and then just McDavid, all he has to do is just read the defense and send it to whichever guy makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that would be ideally how you'd have it work, because McDavid's already used to sending one-timers to Leon Draisaitl on the
Yep.
outside at all sorts of weird angles. McKinnon could totally find those spots. Celebrini could totally find those spots. That's probably realistically how you'd want it to work.
Yeah. I do think there is something to Celebrini could kind of play that Draisaitl-ish role, especially with his one-timer and where he likes to set up. If you watch a Sharks power play, stuff like that. It's not really in the same spot as Draisaitl, but it's aggressive. He's down lower in the zone than you would normally see. Not as far down as Leon Draisaitl gets, of course. And so there is an element of me that wants to see Celebrini with McDavid and just to see like, okay, where is Celebrini really as far as like the hockey sense and all of that kind of stuff. Like let's see him with McDavid and the speed. But at the same time, again, we've seen Celebrini with Crosby before. It looks really good.
It does. No, it definitely does. So like I wouldn't mind that being together either if you want to go with a different configuration. But like Dylan, what's your dream line? What do you want to see?
That's what I've been trying to figure out. I am with you. Like there is the part of me that wants to see like all defense Sidney Crosby and just a line that only a coach could love. right? And it's going to make Canada already is going to be largely hated by the entire rest of the world in this tournament. That line of like him with Mark Stone and Brad Marchand could just easily become like the focal point that everybody directs their hatred towards, as Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid and all those other guys are just lighting them up as well. But that feels like the true villain move, is to put together a line like that that just becomes an impenetrable wall and just says, "Hey, you know what kind of hockey we're playing today? The boring, non-event kind." And I think that would be, look. There's the coaching part of my brain that doesn't want to see it.
All right, so if you're trying to give the other team's top line hell, you put that line out there. What D pair do you send out there with them?
Harley Dowdy, let's go.
Stylistically, that would fit, I guess.
I want like I want like hockey from, the clutch and grab era. Let's go. That's what that game would turn into.
Yeah. You know how we're big on trying to grow the game and give them an exciting product, especially when the world's eyes are on the Olympics and
Mhm.
everything. Go back to the clutch and grab 90s, just shut everything down.
Yep, yep. No, I want to see McKinnon down the middle personally. I know he's probably going to play on the wing for a lot of this tournament, but I want to see McKinnon centering Sam Reinhart, because I just think the two of them could do a lot together. I would love to see Sam Reinhart play with Nathan McKinnon, because I think, thinking about what Sam Reinhart's done with a guy like Barkov, and playing with a more two-way centerman, and being able to do that and hang with him with the defense and all of that stuff, but also score the big goals and everything. I'd love to see Sam Reinhart kind of be able to open up a little bit, like just open up speed wise, kind of join more rush opportunities, all of that kind of stuff. But I just feel like he has the same kind of style that McKinnon utilizes so well, from playing with Mikko Rantanen, or playing with a Lehkonen, or when he's matched up with um, Valerie Nichushkin in Colorado. Like, Sam Reinhart feels like one of Nathan McKinnon's styled guys in the offensive zone, right? Like, you're cycling in the offensive zone, Sam Reinhart, and when he decides to like dive towards the net, Nathan McKinnon's going to understand that and be able to make some things happen. And again, there's an element of like they're both going to play in a way that's just going to make you hate them, and I think that's fun. And so
Yeah.
I would try to match them up together, and then, maybe put like a real fun distributing type winger on the other side. Like, Celebrini would be cool, yes, but like Brandon Hagel with the two of them, I feel like that would be like a really fun spot to put him in, because he could like lay back and let the two of them like kind of handle things, but he could also be the guy on the outside in the offensive zone, distributing from, distance a little bit, right? You wouldn't want to put like Braden Point in there, because then you just have like three guys trying to play within a foot of the crease, and it probably doesn't work. But if you put Hagel, I think it works.
Yeah. No, I think Hagel would work pretty well. It was interesting seeing because at the Four Nations, Hagel was like working together with Sorelli, and I wonder if those two will just kind of be kept together in a
Probably.
bottom six role. So that's why I've just kind of written that off as like, okay, that's where they're going to be. But I think Hagel's certainly capable of jumping up into that kind of spot.
Yeah. No, and again, it's a dream line. We're not seeing this. Like, again,
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
I don't think we're gonna see this at all. But just thinking of player styles and what I could see turning into like a really fun, dynamic, but still gritty force, I think like that would just be like a really fun line to set up. If I was Team Canada's coach and I'm sitting there and I'm like, look, I got the ability to do this, and I'm playing, Switzerland. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. Let's just see
Yeah.
it. I want to see it. This makes sense.
Well, it's a good coaching mindset, just trying to maximize misery for your opponents. Don't even worry about joy for yourself. Just make the opponents as miserable as possible.
Is it possible for Team Canada to have joy at all at this tournament, though? Because, right, we could go back out big picture right now. Like, the expectation for everybody involved in this team and for the country of Canada is that they win. So, like,
Yeah, gold medal or bust.
you only have downside from going to this tournament and being involved with this team at all. There is only potential downside. You either meet expectation and you get to say you did it, or everything's bad and nobody likes you. Like, that's it. Those are the only two options.
Yeah, you or you fail on the biggest stage. That's yeah, you're right. That's all you can do. And I think that pressure to like as I look at this roster, and we just broke down this whole thing and dreamlines we'd want to see, it feels like that's the only way this team can finish anywhere short of say silver. Like, cause gold medal game, it's one game, it's hockey,
Yeah,
anything can
anything can
happen.
happen.
You can get goalied, whatever. But like that's the only way this team can finish short of silver is if the pressure gets to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, there's just like issues making it work combinations wise. Playing styles just don't match up. Guys are used to having the puck and now they have to play off puck more. Like stuff like that could get you. Again, we saw it last year. I don't think it's going to be an issue with this team. Everybody seems to understand the importance of it, and they're all so good at this game that they can, in fact, chameleon themselves into a different type of role. But yes, yeah, if I would have to find fun within the job of coaching this team because I don't know that it's just going to be there organically.
No, probably not. Certainly not with the pressure that's on you as well if you're coaching this Canada team. So yeah, I mean they look pretty darn good. We'll see what the other rosters end up being, but it's going to be hard to compete with this.
Definitely. Some other highlights from Doug Armstrong talking about this. He said when he informed Drew Doughty that he made the team, Drew Doughty was, quote, R rated. So there you go. That fits. That checks out for Drew Doughty. Said that Connor Bedard's injury didn't really impact the decision not to select him. I would say, yeah, because Celebrini is just outplaying him, and there was going to be one spot for one of those guys. And speaking of Celebrini, he said that the day that he told him he was on the radar for the team, Celebrini later went out and had a 4-point night. So probably helps
Yeah, that's a good motivator. I mean, do you worry about his play falling off a little bit after the Olympics because he's
because he doesn't have
he's
that
he's got no
motivation anymore.
audition?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Celebrini gonna check out for the next 3 years. It's definitely gonna happen. He said they looked at Schaefer. He was not on the radar at the start of the
I was wondering
year,
about
but
Schaefer.
he was shocked at how quickly that changed. Called his play exemplary this season, and quote, "He brings you out of your seat." With Matthew Schaefer, and look, 18-year-old defenseman probably is never going to make Team Canada's roster. But if I had to guess, this is the closest one has come since going back a million years, when that was more feasible.
Yeah, I've got to think so. Just watching how he's played this season, but you look at this blue line, this group of players that was actually selected, that should tell you that Schaefer never had a chance. Drew
Yes.
Doughty is, I know it's different sides of the ice, but like, Drew Doughty, Colton Parayko, Travis Sanheim, those guys are made the team. Should tell you Schaefer never had a shot.
Schaefer was not going to make this team. That being said, he will be on every subsequent team for every subsequent Olympics until, well, based on Drew Doughty, until he's at least 36. Uh, there is no
Yeah, lock
set.
for 2030, 2034, 2042, whatever.
Yeah, just pencil him in now. It's fine. Dude's fantastic. Said that there's no set number of standby players, and that players have to agree to continue with Olympic drug testing protocol to remain eligible as a standby player. So, I'm assuming all the guys that have been informed that they are on standby are probably going to continue to agree to all of that on the off chance that they get to play. And that standby players, this I thought was really interesting. Standby players are going to be picked from a pool based on style of player injured, not necessarily position. So I have to assume that largely just applies to the forward group. In other
Yeah,
words,
I mean,
like if
I don't think you're playing a defenseman out of the position or whatever. Yeah, I don't think
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
do that.
Two forwards go down. I don't think they're magically adding Matthew Schaefer because they're just like, hey, we need more offense in the lineup. Uh, but that to me tells me what we probably already knew, and certainly looking at this forward group, what we seem to know, which is they want to have a top and bottom six, right? They want to have a flashy, go out there and outscore your opponent top six. They want to have a more defensively minded bottom six where you're going to see the Mark Stones, the Marshands, maybe Tom Wilson's getting into a game, all of those kinds of guys.
Yeah, and I mean it makes sense for them and them only because Canada is the one country with a forward group where you can actually afford to be a little selective there because of the depth that they have. I don't think any other countries can get away with that sort of thing, but Canada probably can.
Yes. I mean, we see it not just here, but like we were talking about the World Juniors earlier in the pod, right? Like they basically did that this year with their World Junior team as well. When you have the amount of options that you have as Team Canada when it comes to forwards, you get to you get to play the game differently. It's the bottom line, and you get to build out what would still be just a ridiculous NHL roster forward group wise, and you can just really style it however you want. Oh, to be Doug Armstrong right now, RJ.
Yeah, the options he has.
And
I
for
mean, it's
like a
still a lot
month
of
and a half
pressure.
window alone. The rest of it, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, because look, a lot of this, there's conversation too with, say, the coaches. And I mean, we know that coaches, especially like the coaches for Team Canada, will put in the good word for their own players as
Mhm.
in terms of like their own players on their NHL team. Like John Cooper's putting in the good word
He is.
for, for Sorelli, for Braden Point, for Brandon Hagel, all that stuff. The conversations that you as the GM must have with people just advocating for certain players to make the team before you select it. I'm sure there's got to be some really interesting texts or calls that Armstrong has gotten from other people trying to speak on behalf of certain players, trying to get them in.
For sure.
Stuff that would never come out, but it would be super interesting.
It would be. It would be. I yeah, it's one of those like I would love to know them. I would hate to have to be the guy fielding them.
Yeah. No, that's it. I don't envy
Again,
that part of
the
it. I
whole
really don't.
really with the whole job, it's like feels like it's not worth it almost.
Yeah.
like other than to just be the guy, the rest of the job seems like it's probably actually pretty miserable.
Yeah. In addition to actually also having to be an NHL GM.
Yes, and deal with your own
'Cause
team.
remember, this isn't your only job that you've got.
Yes. Yes, you also still have to deal with your own team, and, a team is got its own issues.
Yeah, I would
In
say that
St.
team is
Louis.
the St. Louis Blues.
I gotta imagine that has its own set of headaches and everything there, to deal with that. Somebody who doesn't have to deal with the headaches of being an NHL general manager anymore is Kevin Adams, who was let go, and we've been putting off talking about this, RJ, because other things keep popping up. But we have to talk about the Buffalo situation now, because not only do they fire Kevin Adams, they're now on a 10-game win streak.
Do you think those things have anything to do with each other?
Well, okay, if you ask me, I'm gonna say no. I think they do, but I just kind of don't. And for anybody, for those of us who have been listening to this podcast behind the Patreon paywall for years, know that I am a fan of a lot of the aspects of this roster for the Buffalo Sabres, and that I think that they are a better team than the results these last couple seasons have said that they were. I've been laying a lot of blame at Lindy Ruff as coach for that. I do think that he still probably shouldn't be the coach for this team. I just don't know that stylistically he's maximizing what this roster has. That being said, Kevin Adams also needed to go. I don't think he was maximizing what this roster had, and that there was enough of a coherent kind of plan and everything. And of course, it sounds like from anybody who says anything out of Buffalo, ownership is involved in decision making, and I know that always throws a wrench into what a general manager is trying to do. But the bottom line is Kevin Adams was there long enough that this team should have made the playoffs at some point during his tenure, and they have not. And at the end of the day, like at some point, you do have to go for that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, we read through the list of, I think the Athletic made, of the 10 worst GMs of all time to have lasted 5+ years.
Mhm.
And Kevin Adams, number 3 on that list, I think well deserved in that spot, uh, leading Buffalo to the position it was in. He's got to be feeling terrible right now, though, because they were 3 games into this 10-game win streak when he's fired. It's and I know it's not like a coach where, coming off a loss, like, all right, this is the last one. As a coach, you
Mhm.
got to win this game, to save your job, kind of thing. It's a GM. You're a GM. Like you're far enough removed. It doesn't really directly affect the play on the ice right then in the moment. But that's got to be a tough feel for Kevin Adams, seeing them go win their next 7. I mean, maybe it looks better on you because, well, look, this is the team that
Yeah,
I
the
kind
team
of
actually
built.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah, maybe it helps you because we talked about like, is Kevin Adams ever getting another shot as an NHL GM? Who knows? Maybe if the Sabres just take off and keep doing their thing, maybe he will. You're like,
Yeah.
look, he got it. It was working. They just, needed to wait a couple weeks. But this run is pretty incredible for Buffalo, and it's because they're doing a lot of the things that they weren't earlier defensively. You look at the score lines of these games; they're giving up one or two goals just
Mhm.
about every night. I mean, their last 6 games, that's been the case. And what was our big criticism of Lindy Ruff and the Sabres? That they were scoring plenty, but they just were not playing smart defensive hockey at all. And I mean, the goaltending is helping, but they're also just getting the results defensively.
Right. I think there is an element of this, which is just like, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen got healthy and then worked back in and was able to like knock off the rust and everything at the off season and being injured and everything. And he's just finally settled in. I mean, only one goal allowed in each of his last three starts. They needed their, franchise goaltender in net. Shocking that a team might need such a thing. But I
Well,
think
I
that
guess
there
so,
was an
but
element of
Alex
that.
Lyons had was been in net for 7 of these 10 games on the win streak. Like he's
Right.
been stepping up in a huge way.
No, it's been Alex Lyon as well. Look, this is part of why I've loved what this roster has been is the blue line, a blue line that consists of Rasmus Dahlin, Bowen Byram, Matthias Samuelson, right, Owen Power.
I was waiting for that one.
It's a really good blue line. Like that is a blue line of a playoff team. Like if you're not making the playoffs with that blue line, it means you either have a horrendous forward group, which we could get to the depth of the forward group in a second, or like you're playing with an empty net behind them, which at times
Which at
they
times it's
have.
felt like
It's
that.
felt like that. But like you know what I mean. Like it is an incredible blue line that this team has. That I think has been the thing for these last couple seasons that has been wasted the most is just what this blue line is and what the potential was for a team that's running with them. You had Michael Kesselring this year, who probably not the player I would bring in if I'm losing JJ Paterka, but they very much wanted him. Um, like this blue line is so legit. It is so much better than being on a just perennial top 10 picking in the draft team. It just is. And I'm excited that they're kind of finally playing that way. But yeah, it's been a frustrating like 4 years of watching this blue line not kind of have anything going on around them.
Yeah, and it's weird to see all this change and click after a GM change and not a coaching change.
Yes.
Because the roster on paper is absolutely playoff worthy. And you think, okay, well, coaching's holding them back, but they still have Lindy Ruff as the coach.
Yeah. Right. And I
And
still and I when I watch these games during this win streak, I still think that's a problem.
yeah, no, I think you're probably right. But I mean, well, Dylan, as we take a step back here too and look at where this win streak leaves them in the standings, and I think this is absolutely nuts because the difference between the Western Conference and the Eastern
Oh my
Conference
god, I
this year
know.
is so crazy that even after a 10-game win streak, as they are 7 games above NHL 500, Buffalo is in the final playoff spot, the last wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. Or I guess by points percentage, they're in the top wild card, but still, they're not top three in the division. Like, is this the year? Because I think there's still so much hesitation around this team. Like, is this the year they
Oh
make the
yeah.
playoffs?
No.
And Dylan, you don't think so?
Look at the teams behind them that they're going to have to fend off for the rest of the season. For the second half of the season,
Oh,
they
what,
got
the
to
Florida Panthers? What have they ever done?
I was going to say the Florida Panthers, the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's just in your own division. Right? We're not even talking about like the New Jersey Devils who are behind you or the Rangers that probably are not going to figure it out and be a threat to you, but like they could conceivably, right? Like is Buffalo going to continue to be better than all of those teams? Because all it would really take is one of those teams probably catching them. Or I guess two if they're in the top wildcard spot based on points percentage. Are they going to be better than all but one of those teams? No. I love that
Probably
blue line,
not.
but it's not that good.
Now, Dylan, I'm going to throw a couple stats at you here, Dylan,
Yeah.
just to put this in perspective, and I'll ask you the same question then
All
after
right. All
this.
right. Maybe I jumped the
All right,
gun.
if they're going to make the playoffs. So, Dylan, From what I when I saw, I think this on an article from the Athletic about the Sabres. I skimmed it here, trying to see just what's different about how the Sabres are playing. But only two teams ever have not made the playoffs when they've had a 10-game win streak. Now, one of those was the 2019 Buffalo Sabres. So maybe this isn't inspiring a ton of confidence.
So what you're
But
saying is, if anybody could do it, it's them.
yes, but no team has ever missed the playoffs when they've had an 11-game win streak. So I'll ask you two questions. One, again, are the Sabres going to make the playoffs? And two, how important for them is their next game against the Columbus Blue Jackets? How
Oh,
crucial is it that they win that game?
I'm not gonna
The
say that
last
it's
in the
like
East Columbus Blue Jackets.
I'm not gonna say that it's like super crucial that they win that game, but I am like looking at their schedule right now, and they have Columbus and then Vancouver. They could easily run this to 12. Which
And at
means
that
almost
point,
assuredly they are losing to Columbus, because that would be the most Buffalo Sabres thing, is that they're going to say, hey, nobody's ever done missed the playoffs if they've got an 11-game win streak. We get to go into Columbus, the worst team in the conference, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to drop that game to ensure we don't have the 11-game win streak.
to ensure that we're not going to be on the wrong side of this
Right.
history
Yeah,
here.
that we don't set that history. Yeah. We'll miss it for the second time with the 10-game win streak, but we don't want to be the guys to do it with the 11-game win streak.
I wonder if the players. I do wonder, like, if we were covering the Buffalo Sabres, I would ask him. I'd find the friendliest player that I knew, and I would ask him just about that 11-game win streak thing. Not do you want to drop the next game, but just like, are you aware of this?
Yeah, it's probably not a great idea to ask them about that specifically. But yeah, that would be an interesting kind of thing to hear. That being said, I don't know how they lose that game. Like other than just hockey happening, I don't know how they lose to Columbus.
Dylan, hockey happens every day.
It does, in fact, happen every day. Um, yeah, I look. When it comes to like how this team is playing and everything, they have the goal scoring. I guess I'm still not a believer, even though I love the blue line. I think Tage Thompson's legit, 1C superstar, enough guy to do it.
You had to
Um,
qualify it with the enough. We've had enough Tage Thompson arguments in the past. You can't just give me legit 1C superstar like I've been saying forever. You
yes,
gotta you gotta put enough at the end.
there. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, he's no Nathan McKinnon. We at one point we're gonna have the debate of what actually is a superstar and how many can coexist within the league at any one given time.
That would be a good debate.
Because I do think like at some point, like it's like the generational player thing where there's
Yeah,
like five
that's thrown around
generational
way too
players, and
much.
it's like, no, that doesn't make sense.
By
Uh
definition, there's only one per generation.
exactly. At most two,
Maybe
with the
two, because they
Crosby
could be different
Ovechkin thing.
kinds of, like,
Right.
exactly, yeah. Like,
But
so
but
you could.
yes. But
So we should actually, that'd be great. Not
like
now, but we should do
superstar,
that
like I feel like
because
there
I think we
can't be
all.
that many superstars either, otherwise it loses its meaning.
Right, we throw these words around a lot: generational, superstar, star,
Right.
like things like that. How many of those can there be? And we never define those terms.
Mm.
Nobody ever does. We just use those terms. But yeah, I think at some future week we should talk about exactly what we mean. Come up with it independently too and see what
Yeah.
differences there might be. Because I feel like we might be talking past each other a little bit sometimes when we use these terms.
Yes, I agree. Anyway, to get back to the Buffalo Sabres, everybody's favorite topic, as you can tell, as we keep taking tangent after tangent. I guess, look, you have enough of a forward group. You can score some. I love the depth pieces that you've drafted and developed. I've always been a big Noah Ostlund fan, Isaac Rosen fan. Like I like these guys a lot. I like what they're bringing and what they're adding to this team. They're finally getting some form of depth scoring, which they just have not had before. I love that, and I do think that that is what makes this year's team different from some of the years we've seen, some of the teams that we've seen these past couple years. That being said, after Tage Thompson and I guess Alex Tuck, like uh, you still need like another 20 goal scorer, 25 goal scorer. Like you need something. You know what this team would be great with? JJ Paterka.
Well, here's the thing though with Paterka. he's not scoring at the same clip really in Utah. He's struggling a little bit from production standpoint. And look at one of the two players you got back for him in Josh Doan. He's producing about the same as Paterka is.
Yeah.
So like I don't even hate it from that perspective. I know
I
I
don't
was
know
critical
that it's
of the Paterka
sustainable
trade.
from Doan is the thing.
Probably not. Probably not. What's he? Well, he's shooting at
Yeah, no, the
11.2%.
shooting percentage is reasonable, so maybe it is.
And I mean, he's got the NHL bloodlines. Like, would
Yeah,
anyone be shocked if the son of Shane Doan is turns out to be a pretty good NHL player?
right.
But like, he certainly was not the big piece in that Paterka trade. Like, I can't hate it knowing what we know now.
No, I don't either. And high second round pick, like I get it. Like there is talent there. I just not sure how much of it is gonna be, like I said, just how much of it's gonna be sustainable, and how much you're gonna be able to lean on him, and all of that stuff. Still crazy. I remember seeing him at 13 when I was scouting Bantam players. It's just wild to see some of these guys in the NHL now.
Did
Um,
you watch him at 13 and be like, yeah, this isn't sustainable. I don't
this
know how
isn't
long he's gonna be able to
sustainable at
keep this
all.
up with.
Yeah, him and Matthew Nyes together here. This is just not. I'm
Wait till
gonna.
they turn 15. This will be all
Yeah,
over.
it's all gonna be over. No, shockingly, they were both pretty good at hockey at that level, noticeably so. But like the things about Buffalo that I think are largely unsustainable for them, and why I don't think they're gonna be able to hold on to the playoff spot is like the power play percentage. Like it's a sub 20% power play. I I don't how is that supposed to be better? Like, you have great guys quarterbacking the power play on the back end in Dahlin and Samuelson, but, like, I don't where's outside of Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck up front, like, where's the power play, like, goals gonna come from? They have been coming from Josh Stone, so maybe that's the answer. Jason Zucker, like, is that sustainable? Jason Zucker with, getting a power play goal every handful of games, every couple games? Like, probably not.
I guess not, but like we look at this team and they've got a bunch of high end talent, at least four or five guys deep. And I look at a power play with Thompson and Tuck and Darlene, if he's quarterbacking it, and Josh Doan to maybe go to some of the dirty areas. Like I don't know, that seems like what where I'm looking at the ranking 17th, so smack dab in the middle of the NHL. I could stay there. Why not?
I Yeah, but I no, I don't think that it could I think that it could stay there, but, like, it's not good enough, right? Like, is it good enough to keep them above Florida, Toronto, what was the other one? Boston, New Jersey, potentially the Rangers?
I think the power play by itself, sure. I what I think is unsustainable is them allowing as few goals as
1
they
goal a
have
game,
been, and
yeah.
getting the goaltending, getting the defense with Lindy Ruff still as the coach. That's where I
Yes.
point to it to all
Yes. No,
potentially fall apart.
I think man, maybe this is all coming from the guy who has predicted the playoff drought to end for like each of the last 3 years because I've been a believer, and so I've been burned so many times. I'm now going the other way and I'm selling when everybody's buying, and I've just read the whole situation wrong for years. It's very
Yeah.
possible.
You know what they say, buy high, sell low. You
That is
are
what they say.
following
Yes.
that.
Yes. Um it's entirely possible that that's what's going on here, and I'm just too jaded from everything to see that no, it's actually finally clicking. That my boy Zach Benson is actually holding it all together. But I just don't think that's happening.
All right. Well, you heard it here, everyone. Dylan is finally he is selling on the Buffalo Sabres right now. Right, just like his
At the time,
NFTs. He's
after a
getting rid
10
of.
game win streak, that feels like the right time to sell.
Okay, I get. Yeah, yeah. There you go. After the little bounce in value.
I've been holding on to this forever. I'm still selling at an 80% loss.
Yeah, yeah.
But at least it's not a 90% loss.
There you go.
I'm taking it as the tax write-off for everything else. As for the Kevin Adams side of things, just to kind of bookend the conversation on Buffalo there, you mentioned like Kevin Adams getting fired 3 games into the win streak, and when it was Kevin Adams not fired in the offseason when they brought in Kekalainen, right?
Yeah, no,
Like
it was a done deal at that point.
like that's when we knew Kevin Adams was not long for the GM world. And so it felt like all of it was just to get Yarmo kind of up to speed on everything internally to kind of see things and in a lot of ways just do a I guess gentle for everybody but Kevin Adams handoff.
Yeah, I think it would have taken the 10-game win streak basically to start the season in order to
Yeah.
just forestall this happening. But yeah,
Yep. Shocking that that didn't happen. All right. We'll close things out talking about the Winter Classic, which RJ, we should be watching right now instead of recording a podcast. But for some reason, the game's not happening today on New Year's Day.
it's not right. Still, it feels like the game should happen on New Year's Day. I think it's pretty clear the NHL is afraid of college football,
As they
which has
should
taken
be.
over today, as they should be. Yeah, they would not be able to compete as the college football playoff has 3 games today. There's no real safe window to
No.
schedule a hockey game, as we got what Alabama, Indiana going on right now with the #1 ranked team in the country just about to kick off. They'd have no chance of competing.
I think the 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific window would have been safe for them personally, but you know, what do I know?
Safe in what sense?
There probably wasn't going to be college football happening at that time.
I guess yeah, you're safe. I guess in the sense that yeah, if you go to Antarctica, you might be safe from some kind of nuclear exchange.
Yes.
But how are you doing really?
Yeah, no, it look, this is the right call for the NHL. That being said, how much of a noticeable difference in ratings do you think there would have been from them playing tomorrow versus them just going ahead and saying, "Look, only hockey fans are watching this anyway." I don't know that the number's that different.
Probably not, given the game is so oversaturated and just that it's Florida, New York Rangers. I mean, you got a big market there in New York, Florida
Mhm.
back-to-back cup champs. Like that's a good game. It's a good matchup, but like realistically, how many casual fans or just sports fans are turning that game on? Probably
Right.
not a whole lot.
Right. What's valuable about it for you, and the reason why you don't want to compete with anything, is that you then become the thing for bars to put on, right? Anywhere that is going to show television, sports on television in their establishment, where each of those TVs counts as a separate number, that then becomes valuable for you. And on New Year's Day, you are not going to get that because all of those TVs are going to be tuned into college football. And so I think it's one of those things where, especially now that like the rating services, Nielsen, this was like a big deal for them this year, was that they can now accurately track bars and television sets and restaurants and bars and all of that kind of stuff. That was like a big advancement when it comes to television ratings and what that's going to mean for everybody. And the only sports team like league that was really talked about in all of that was the NFL, and how it's like greatly boosted their numbers, but it has technically boosted everybody's numbers sports wise. um and it shows how much of sports, at least in America, is consumed communally and in settings like that. And so I think that this is a strategic thing, not so much for the unique viewer, because I think the unique viewers are more or less built in. It's the hardcore NHL fans, and that's it. Um, it's the fact that if you play tomorrow, you probably have, a good chance at monopolizing all of those restaurant and bar televisions, and that is going to inflate your number now so much more than it did even before uh the change in how these things are counted and everything. So this was by far and away a ratings play, but I think, and we can all like admit that, but I think that it's also a very specific type of ratings play. I don't think they're actually anticipating that many more people tuning in because they don't have to compete against college football, because as we know, not that many people tune into the Winter Classic anyway. It is the diehard hockey fans who genuinely want to watch that game and would probably have found a way to watch that game anyway, even if it was today. I think it is specifically because for advertisers, you want to have that healthy rating, and the only way to do that is to get on the televisions at bars and restaurants.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Now, as far as what the people at the bars and restaurants are going to see, have you seen the setup for the rink, Dylan?
I have not. So I do want to pull this up. I've been traveling like
Yes,
crazy. I
because
have to
you need to
leave
see
again
this.
tomorrow, but I do genuinely want to see this because as somebody who grew up at the beach, this feels like it should be right up my alley.
Well, I love the way they've done this because they've split it right down the middle for their whole setup. And on the Florida side, it's a beach, Miami, tropical, everything you would think type of setup. And then on the Ranger side, it's snow, it's ice, it's winter. And you see both of them together and it's just split right down the middle. I love it. Like whoever came up with that idea, brilliant.
Yeah, no, that looks fantastic. Oh, that looks really, really good. I mean, I'm genuinely impressed with how this turned out. That looks very good.
Yeah, and notice in the outfield too, you know how they'll usually have a little ice rink or something that they'll
Mhm.
have the players play at. So they've got that on the Rangers side, but on the Panthers side, it's a basketball court. It's like a beach
Yep.
basketball court.
Yep, which is part of beach life. You need one of those out there for sure. No, I'm really digging how this setup works. Boy, they have the layout structure and everything down for these ballparks too. Just the way you can have a stage for whatever performance you're gonna have during an intermission out there in the outfield and center field, and then you get all the outfield space around to really work with and play with like this. This is a really nice setup, and it's my color scheme. It's the blue and pink. I love it.
Yeah, I know you love that. I know which side I would find you on though. I think if
Yes.
you were just out there, left to your own devices to walk around the outfield, I think I know where I'd find you. Probably somewhere right around the lifeguard station.
Yeah, that feels like the safe spot when looking at this. That feels good. I don't know. I like the flamingos. I might be hanging with the flamingos.
That's true. You are a fan of flamingos. I might find you there. I think I wouldn't have to search very long before I found you though.
No, the fact that you would only have to look at half of the space probably helps.
Yeah,
But
it
no,
would
that
help
that
nail
looks
it
really
down.
good.
Yeah, and I've seen all the pictures that we've seen so far because it's at Lone Depot Park in Miami, and they've had the roof on, but they are going to try and take the retractable roof off. It might be, as I don't think this will surprise anybody, the warmest Winter Classic game there's ever been. It
Shocking.
sounds like the next closest was the one at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, where they had the Sharks play the Kings. I was actually at that game, and it definitely didn't feel very cold at the time. And I guess one of their big concerns was the glass fogging up from the
Mm,
temperature, and so they have specially treated glass that it's resistant to fogging up and everything, but it sounds like they're not too worried about it. I guess at the one at Levi's Stadium it was like 59 degrees, something like that, and it should be not too much warmer than this. And at the Levi's Stadium one, they said even the regular glass wasn't fogging up, so shouldn't be too much of an issue there.
yeah. What if what an interesting job for the rink crews and everything for that. Like that, and good on them for thinking about things like that, but it is such a unique challenge to tackle for the NHL and for everybody involved. It's fun
I
though.
mean, we in the media got to talk to them,
Right.
ahead of the one in Seattle and all the challenges they were facing. I know they loved having the
Love
retractable
the
roof because
roof.
if it starts raining, you just bring the roof back on. You don't have to worry about it. But there are still plenty of challenges that come, especially in the more warm weather climates. It's just all the little things you have to think about that you would never consider really if you're just thinking about it at surface level.
I was thinking about that too, like how much of the Seattle experience informed their willingness to do this Miami one, given that they were going to have a roof and they could try to control it a little bit climate wise that way.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure it gave him a lot of confidence hearing what's his name, was it Steve Meyer? Who's the guy in charge of the ice and everything? But hearing the ice crew talk about having that retractable roof, I mean, they just gushed about it for like
They
5 minutes.
could not stop talking about it. Like everything
Yeah.
somehow got brought back around to the roof when they were in Seattle, and it's one of those like for a very different reason in Miami. You have it just so the sun is not beating down on the ice as you're trying to build it up. I think that helps. Humidity is obviously not going to go away just because you put the roof on it, and the humidity is going to be a big problem for them, I would assume, and has been the biggest difficulty of this whole process. But yeah, as you're trying to build up those ice layers and everything like that, I have to imagine having the roof on. And just also for the construction crews having to build everything out, like just not having direct sunlight while you're already working in the humidity, it helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention on the rink being split in kind of the two themes. Remember how in Seattle they had the face-off dots as like the compass
Yes.
directions and everything? For this one on the Florida side, the face-off dots in the offensive zone have the image of the sun on it,
Nice.
and on the Ranger side it has a snowflake.
That's awesome. I really like that.
So down to the little details, they always get this stuff right.
Yeah, it's gonna be an awkward second period when they have to switch sides, but
Well, then I mean, it's kind of like not home ice advantage, I guess, but like it's an away game for the second period,
yes,
and it's a home game, as far as just the surroundings, and it's a home game for the first and third.
yeah, no, it is good. That being said, least advertised Winter Classic ever. I
I'm
know it's a
tempted to
low
say
bar.
yes because if I wasn't paying attention to it for this podcast, if we weren't covering hockey professionally, then I think yeah, we wouldn't be paying attention to it. We wouldn't know about it. But I feel like they've done this for a little while now.
I was gonna say until
I
what
couldn't
in
tell you what the Winter Classic was like, say the year before Seattle. I just will always assume it was another Chicago
I
one,
was
and I'll
gonna
be right
say
half the time.
Chicago. No, I think the year before Seattle was the Dallas St. Louis one.
Dallas, St. Louis. Was there a Dallas, Nashville though? Was that the Corey
Was it
Perry Walk of Shame?
Oh,
Was there
maybe.
a Dallas, St. Louis one?
Was it Dallas
See,
St.
this
Louis?
says
There
everything, but
was one in St. Louis though. Remember they had to walk up the stairs or down the stairs or whatever in their skates and
all right, I'm
everything.
cheating. I'm looking this up.
This says
So
a
it
lot
was
about why I was saying that I don't think the number would be any different if they played this during a college football game or
yes.
not.
And again, we cover hockey for a living, by the way. This
Yes.
is okay. So it was St. Louis, Chicago at Wrigley,
Okay,
after
there was that
Seattle. The
one.
one
Yeah.
before that was Pittsburgh, Boston at
Oh, yeah, at
Fenway,
Fenway. Yeah.
which I feel wasn't that was the
Just-
second game they've done at Fenway, right? Yeah. So it
yeah.
wasn't even the first game at
Yeah.
Fenway. So no wonder we memory hold that one. St.
It was
Louis,
the Jake DeBrusque
Minnesota,
game.
Target Field. So St. Louis did host one. That was 2017 against Chicago. So maybe that's the one you're
Maybe
thinking
that's
of.
the one I'm thinking of. I was thinking of the Wrigley Field one. Did they wear blue for that? I just remember they were wearing like old school blues uniforms. It was more of a powder blue, the jerseys.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
was that might have
Again,
been it. I don't know.
Winter Classics, maybe this is a hot take, maybe it's not. We both have feel this for a while. You got to retire it for a little while. It is
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
marquee event anymore on the NHL schedule. Or for fans. The numbers have been dwindling greatly. Many regular season games have better numbers than the Winter Classic does. I get that it's a very fun thing for the league, and there is some benefit to having large events that you can host conferences around. You can have sponsors there, and meet with Gary Bettman and all of that kind of stuff. But you got to find a way of making it feel more special again because it just has not felt special and must watch in a while, at least 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a good time to do it, right? Because has every market kind of been thrown a bone at this point, right?
A lot of them
Um,
have, but also like you're also doing it during an Olympic year.
yeah. It's just it's completely lost. I mean, look, if you want to do it like speaking of the Olympics, just do it once every 4 years. It's a huge
Yeah,
event, then everyone's paying attention and you kind of bring the magic back. But I know a big part of it was just like trying to make sure every market had an outdoor game because everyone was like, well, I want one. And I think Florida was kind of the last frontier, right? That's the last one they hadn't really gotten to.
yeah. In some ways, yeah. Not everybody has obviously hosted one, but they've all
Right,
played in
right.
one at this point,
But
just about
um
anyway.
yeah.
But yeah,
And I mean, I guess Utah
gotta
hasn't
start.
gotten one yet. Is that next? I mean, that there's a lot of goodies
It
that
could
come with
be
it.
right, like
It
like
would not
yeah,
be a bad place to host it. Like
it
that would
wouldn't
be
be.
fine, but
Yeah, but I could see them being like, hey, you solved our Coyotes problem, so you get an outdoor game.
yeah. So I don't know.
You solved our self-created problem. Thanks. Your stuff. um, but yeah, no, I just think yeah, it needs to bring back the magic in some way, and bring back the the must watch ability of it because that's all been gone now. Oh well. You could argue that
Yeah.
that's happened to a lot of the league, unfortunately, and based on numbers and everything. We'll have more to say about that in future episodes, though. We talk about that pretty regularly in all of our ideas for how to make the NHL more popular again, and the things that they could do around that. But for now, we got USA and other Olympic rosters to look forward to in the next upcoming days. We do have that Winter Classic game tomorrow. I will tune in if just to see, the awesome setup that they have there in Miami. But looking forward to seeing the hockey there. Looking forward to the hockey that we still have on tap, just in general. And of course, now the most must-watch game of the week, RJ, Buffalo Columbus.
Yeah,
Because it will tell us if Buffalo is securing one of those 8 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference.
it's going to be huge, and that would be historical to end that playoff drought. And you could just mark it off right there if they get the win. So that will be. We got to wait a couple days for that. That's January 3rd at noon Pacific time. So if you're not doing anything middle of the day, January 3rd, turn on Buffalo. I can't believe I'm saying this. Turn on Buffalo Columbus. Give
Most
that a
watch
watch.
game. The most watch game. Yep. All right, that's gonna do it for us here on the Red Glare podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.